Do you have your ID with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
I
Who was
just-
your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah. That's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right. You can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay. Do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markel?
No.
Adelson. Okay. Wendi with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I have a message from him this morning. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
What if I told you that 5 people are now behind bars for taking a man's life, but the one person who stood to gain the most from his passing has never been charged? What if the person who walked away that summer day in 2014, whose life dramatically changed the moment he took his last breath, is still free? Her name appears in every trial. Her actions raise questions that investigators can't ignore, but prosecutors call her an unindicted co-conspirator. This is the story of Wendi Adelson. But before we dive into this case, if you're drawn to stories that challenge everything you think you know about justice, stories that keep you questioning long after they end, hit that subscribe button right now. This is Dark Trail Files, where we don't just tell you what happened, we show you the patterns others miss, the details that don't add up, and the truth hiding in plain sight. And trust me, you want to be here for what's coming next. Now, let's begin.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things
Okay.
that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and get super glue for one of the boys' toys. And I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Good for you.
Yeah, I figured. Oh
Okay,
my God.
a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you
Okay.
want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one. And
What time did he come to the house?
he called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay,
Um,
okay. And then you,
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry,
Mm.
and then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah,
Okay, you went down, which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay,
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter, and I just usually drive by.
it's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it,
Yeah.
down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors. It's at Benton. Mhm.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah.
And that was sometime after 12?
Probably 12:30.
Okay, all right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy. We had a whole conversation about bourbon and
Right.
my eyes. Like,
Your eyes?
he just said your eyes are really blue,
Right.
and
You have contacts?
I do.
Okay.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street, it's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville, like, if you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay, all right, and then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic
Mosaic-Restaurant? restaurant?
and met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Friday 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 night. meeting, and I hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay. All right. I know it's cold in here. Okay.
I think that's not why.
Okay. I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's, oh God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You understand, right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone who would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me.
He owes money to you?
But
Okay.
not me.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh my God, we're poor kids. Oh, I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay.
He was a very positive person.
Okay.
No,
No one that you know of or that he's spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
no one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know,
Right.
If he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it, but, I mean, I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was going to go, and he, I can't, I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would, hate him.
Okay.
He meant well, everyone that knew him
Okay.
knows that he means well, but he can be a little, argumentative.
Right.
But not, he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad.
Okay.
I can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
Do you know his...
July 18th, 2014. A Thursday morning in Tallahassee, Florida. Dan Markel, a Harvard-educated law professor at Florida State University, pulled into his driveway after his morning workout. He was 41 years old, a respected legal scholar, and a devoted father to his 2 young sons. Within minutes, he would be shot twice in the head while sitting in his car. He would pass away the next day. But to understand why Dan Markel was targeted, we have to go back to September 2012, when his then-wife, Wendi Adelson, filed for separation. Dan came home from a business trip to find separation papers and an empty house. His wife and children were gone. What followed wasn't just a separation. It became a bitter legal war centered on one question. Where would their 2 sons live? When he wanted to relocate to South Florida, to be near her family in Miami, Dan fought to keep his children in Tallahassee, where he had built his career and his life. In June 2013, the court sided with Dan. The relocation was denied. Wendy would have 50-50 custody, but the boys would stay in Tallahassee. For most people, this would be the end. An unfortunate outcome, but a final one. For the Adelson family, it was just the beginning. The Adelsons were not just any family. They were close. Very close. And when Wendy faced a setback in court, her family took it personally. Watch how she describes this relationship.
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
And how soon after the murder did your lawyer advise you not to talk to your family about it?
In 2016.
Okay, so what about the 2 years in between? Did you talk to him about it then?
I mean, I talked to him about the fact that a murder occurred, but I guess I don't understand the question.
But you never talked to him about the suspicions you raised in the law enforcement interview that your brother might have done it.
No, I did not.
You suspected your brother could have been a part of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
While I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea I could come up with.
Right. And one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't really believe that was possible.
Was part of the plot for you to be able to have plausible deniability about this?
Absolutely not.
Is it better for both you and your brother if you don't know the details of this?
I don't even understand the question that you're asking me.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markel for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
But you didn't say any of that before. I mean, the first thing you said was Charlie, right?
I don't think so.
Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it. You say Charlie might have done it, right?
Can I see, please?
You may. This is going to be tab 1, page 25.
What I say here is that he would never do it. Right under the highlighted part, I say no, he would never.
Need a copy?
Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, he knew that Danny always treated me badly. And it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV. So instead I got you this TV. And you do say you don't think he would do it. But can we agree you brought up his name on page 25 of the interview?
I did.
When asked, would you ever ask someone to do something like this? You say not in a million years. When asked, okay, do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? You say no. And when Isom starts to ask you what good does it serve, you say, I mean my brother, the one, his name is Charlie. Isn't that how it went?
This is the transcript, but I think there's also inaccuracies in the transcription.
Oh boy. All right. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I said.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. No, that's not
No
right.
further questions.
The court ruling created years of ongoing tension. The separation was finalized in July 2013, but the conflict never ended. Dan filed motions. Wendy's lawyers filed responses. And behind it all, the Adelson family watched, waited, and according to prosecutors, planned. In May 2014, just 2 months before Dan's passing, he filed a motion that would restrict Wendy's mother, Donna Adelson, from having unsupervised visits with his children. He claimed she was making disparaging remarks about him to his sons. That hearing was scheduled, but never took place. Because on July 18, 2014, Dan Markel was shot in his driveway. To understand what happened to Dan Markel, you have to understand the Adelson family dynamic. They weren't just close. They were enmeshed. Donna Adelson ran a successful dental practice with her husband Harvey in South Florida. Their lives revolved around their children, especially Wendi, the youngest. And when Wendy's life wasn't going according to plan, Donna took action. Emails introduced at trial showed Donna's relentless push to get Wendi back to South Florida. She wasn't just a concerned mother. She was orchestrating plans, offering solutions, and refusing to accept the court's decision. In one email, Donna suggested offering Dan $1 million to allow the children to relocate. She was willing to split the cost with Wendi and Charlie, Wendy's brother. The plan was detailed. The money was real. The desperation was obvious. But Dan never took the offer. According to testimony, the offer was never formally made, and the court had already ruled. The children were staying in Tallahassee. For the Adelson family, that ruling wasn't just disappointing. Prosecutors would later argue it was unacceptable. During Donna's trial, in 2025, Wendy's older brother Robert testified about their mother's controlling nature. He described how Donna had fixed ideas about what her children's lives should look like. If you went along with her plans, things were fine. If you didn't, things were not fine. When Wendy's situation with Dan became difficult, Donna's attention shifted entirely to her youngest child. Robert testified that his mother spoke about Wendy's challenges with almost gleeful anticipation, planning the separation announcement to happen right before one of Dan's important speaking engagements. But the Adelson family's involvement went beyond just emails and plans. There was a joke. At least, that's what they called it. A joke about taking care of the Dan Markel problem. Listen to what Wendi herself admitted.
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
And how soon after the murder did your lawyer advise you not to talk to your family about it?
In 2016.
Okay, so what about the 2 years in between? Did you talk to him about it then?
I mean, I talked to him about the fact that a murder occurred, but I guess I don't understand the question.
But you never talked to him about the suspicions you raised in the law enforcement interview that your brother might have done it.
No, I did not.
You suspected your brother could have been a part of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
While I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea I could come up with.
Right. And one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't
right?
really believe that was possible.
Was part of the plot for you to be able to have plausible deniability about this?
Absolutely not.
Is it better for both you and your brother if you don't know the details of this?
I don't even understand the question that you're asking me.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markel for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
But you didn't say any of that before. I mean, the first thing you said was Charlie, right?
I don't think so.
Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it. You say Charlie might have done it, right?
Can I see, please?
You may. This is going to be tab 1, page 25.
What I say here is that he would never do it. Right under the highlighted part, I say no, he would never.
Need a copy?
Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, like, he knew that Danny always treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. And you do say you don't think he would do it, but can we agree you brought up his name on page 25 of the interview?
I did.
When asked, would you ever ask someone to do something like this? You say not in a million years. When asked, okay, do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? You say no. And when Isom starts to ask you, what good does it serve? You say, I mean my brother, the one, his name is Charlie. Isn't that how it went?
This is the transcript, but I think there's also inaccuracies in the transcription.
Oh boy. All right. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired him, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid him.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want him held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I said.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. No, that's not
No
right.
further questions.
This wasn't just talk. This was a family that saw Dan Markel as a problem that needed to be solved. Wendi Adelson's testimony about her brother's joke became one of the most chilling moments in this entire case. Wendi admitted that her brother Charlie made a joke about hiring a hitman to handle Dan. She told her boyfriend at the time, Jeffrey Lacasse, about this comment. She said her brother had looked into all options to take care of the Danny Markel problem, including hiring a hitman. When Lacasse heard this, he was disturbed. He said Wendi appeared serious when she said it. This wasn't a throwaway comment. This was a confession wrapped in humor. During Charlie's trial in 2023, this joke took on new meaning. Charlie had also joked that buying Wendi a television as a separation gift would be cheaper than hiring a hitman. Wendi received that television. On the morning of Dan's passing, July 18th, 2014, a repair service was at Wendi's house trying to fix that television. It couldn't be repaired. Prosecutors would later suggest the television was code, a signal, a way to communicate without saying too much. Wendi denied this. She said it was just a television, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Wendi Adelson's behavior in the weeks and months surrounding Dan's passing raised serious questions. In late 2013, after the court denied her relocation request, Wendi appeared to accept her fate. She began looking at real estate in Tallahassee. She was planning to stay. But on October 31st, 2013, something changed. Charlie convinced her to stop looking at properties. She pulled out a home purchase. Donna responded with delight. What Wendi didn't know, or perhaps what she did know, was that October 31st was the exact day Charlie first met with Catherine Magbanua about hiring someone to handle the situation. With a plan in motion, there was no reason for Wendi to buy a house in Tallahassee. But Wendi's actions became even more suspicious in the days before Dan's passing. She asked very specific questions. Questions that made her ex-boyfriend believe he was being set up for something terrible.
All right, Mr. Lacasse, I want to take you back to July 13th, 2014. This is going to be the Sunday before the homicide that we're here about. Did you see Wendi Adelson that evening at her residence here in Tallahassee?
Yes, after we returned from dinner and a movie, we went back to her residence. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and at some point that evening, did the issue of the relocation battle that was going on back in the summer of 2013 come up?
It did.
And is that the issue we've already touched on, which has to do with her wanting to move to South Florida with the children and filing a petition to do so in the courts?
That's right, and by extension, the issue of being stuck in Tallahassee.
Okay. And while discussing that issue, did Ms. Adelson make some statements to you about her brother Charlie?
She did.
And what were those statements?
She asked to speak to me confidentially in a very serious tone of voice, told me that Charlie had investigated all possible options to take care of the problem of Danny Markel, including hiring a hitman, which would cost about $15,000. And I later revised that and thought maybe it was $50,000, but the dollar amount was the only thing in question. She definitely said that Charles Adelson had looked into hiring a hitman to kill Danny Markel.
And when did she say Mr. Adelson had looked into hiring a hitman?
When the relocation was denied, the previous summer.
Okay. All right. And the dollar amount, so she either said 15 or 50, you're not sure which?
That's correct.
Okay. And when she said this, what was her demeanor like?
She was very serious.
All right, so definitely not the to be confused with the TV joke?
No, I'd heard that joke repeatedly. I knew that joke. This was something very different. This was chilling, a little scary, made my stomach flip. I found it disturbing. The joke was said in a lighthearted manner, and this was not said in that way. This was serious and said confidentially.
All right, thank you. And I want to, okay, I think we should go from there to the next day, which is going to be July 14th, 2014, the Monday before the murder.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see Wendi Adelson on that day?
Yeah, I can't remember if I contacted her, if she contacted me, but she was excited to see me. And I wasn't so sure about that because the night before we'd had an awkward conversation at the conclusion of that night, and I had told her that she didn't want to do this anymore, that she could just send me a text and I wouldn't, take any offense. We would just, break up. So I didn't get that text. Instead, I talked to Wendi Adelson, and she was excited to see me.
All right, so what did you do?
Well, then she needed to call me back, and it went from enthusiastic, her enthusiasm about seeing me to let's just meet at yoga tonight, go in separate cars. So there was a real shift in about 30 minutes.
Did you go to yoga?
We did. We went to yoga.
All right. And after yoga, was there a discussion about your relationship and the status of your relationship?
Yeah, a very brief one. I mean, yoga's not a great place to talk, obviously. So while we were sitting there, she seemed very cold, and I kind of got the feeling that it was over, that this was it. So as we walked to the car, I tried to talk to her about the relationship, and that didn't go well. And so I just kind of put up my hands and walked away, feeling sad that this was it.
All right. And as you walked away, was that the end, or was there more conversation after you began to walk away?
She called out to me, and I walked back towards her. And she was deeply curious. Well, let me back up slightly. During that conversation, she didn't have any interest in spending any time with me for the rest of the week. So it kind of confirmed, this is over. Mm-hmm. But then when she called me back, she had a series of detailed questions about what I would be doing on Friday.
And Friday is going to be July 18th, right?
Yes.
And that's the date of the homicide?
That's exactly right.
What were her inquiries of you regarding that date?
I had a trip planned to Tennessee. She was aware that I was planning to leave about 11 a.m. On Friday. I need to get to Atlanta for an early dinner, so with traffic, she knew I was departing at 11. And at the yoga studio or in the parking lot, she had asked if I was still going. If I didn't go, why not? What route I would be taking. A lot of bizarre amount of interest in that trip that didn't make sense to me at the time, given that she didn't want to spend time with me.
And how does it make sense to you now?
Well, if I had left on my trip at the scheduled time that she had known about for quite a while, I would have driven pretty close to Dan Markel's house about the same time as at the murder, in a similar looking car to the suspect vehicle.
What type of vehicle did you drive?
I drove a 2004 Nissan Sentra that was silver metallic gray color.
So if you had followed your original plans, you would have been passing by the Markel residence or nearby there around the same time as the killers were fleeing?
Yeah, I would have been at Capitol Circle in Thomasville. Sure, I would have been on the same cell tower, for example. I think my life could have been pretty complicated had I taken my original plans.
All right, so you didn't, I guess, take the original plans.
No, I did not. I had made a last-minute decision the night before to leave Thursday night instead. I had not informed Ms. Adelson about that because we weren't speaking. Actually, no, I don't know that anyone, for sure that anyone in Tallahassee knew I had changed my plans, just the people at the other end.
All right, so you were actually in Tennessee at the time of the homicide.
I was.
And when we've heard you were called in as a potential suspect, and apparently named by a Jane McPherson. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Okay, who is that?
That was a friend of Wendi Adelson's, and she was a doctoral student in our program. I had not much of a relationship with her, just a kind of a working relationship. We'd worked on a couple of projects together, but I didn't know her very well at all.
But someone that knew that you had been dating Wendi.
Yeah, I think she was a confidant of Wendi Adelson's. Yes, for sure.
Okay, so you get called in, and were you able to provide documentation to show that you were in Tennessee and not in Tallahassee?
Yeah, I was excluded fairly quickly because the investigators found Kmart surveillance footage of me at a Kmart in Tennessee using my credit card with my cell phone showing me there shortly after the murder, so it was impossible that I was the shooter.
All right, and then was there also some similar type coincidences around the time of the trip that the killers made in June?
Yes. On June 6th, I had a business trip to Gainesville, and I departed at 11 a.m. on a Friday, June 6th, which Ms. Adelson would have known about by March. So really, I take 2 trips out of Tallahassee in my car the whole spring and summer semester, Both times, hitmen tried to kill Danny Markel.
Okay. Any further contact with Wendi after the yoga date?
We, about 10 days after the murder, she reached out to a mutual friend and we had a few phone calls.
And during one of those phone calls, did you learn about a dinner where Wendi had become ill at the table?
Yes, I did learn about that.
And what did you learn about that dinner?
That she went out to dinner with Charlie for what he called a celebration dinner. He said something to her. She spontaneously vomited on the table.
And this would have been within how much time after the homicide?
Within a few weeks.
Was it specified that the celebration was in reference to Dan Markel's death as opposed to anything else?
Wasn't specified.
Okay. But whatever it was, that's the dinner where she vomited.
That's right. That's right.
1 moment, please. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Let's shift gears a teeny bit.
Okay.
When you and Miss Adelson were dating, there were occasions when she would drive, right?
Yes.
Did she have a good sense of direction?
I don't know.
You're aware that when she was married to, she lived in Professor Markel, she lived on the house on Trescott, right?
Yes.
And when you were dating Wendi, would she often use Trescott as a shortcut to get from one place to another?
She used it a few times when I was in the car, if that's what you're asking. She did that on June 27th, the day we departed to Gainesville at 11 a.m. on a Friday.
I think you said in one of your interviews that she would do that at least 100 times, drive by the house.
That was a figure of speech.
Okay. Now, you mentioned, we'll start with the joke, the
Yes.
bad joke.
Yes.
You mentioned this TV joke, how it was lighthearted, bad humor, certainly in the context of what happened, but it was a joke.
Yeah, it was dark humor, I would say, but it was clearly a joke. Yes.
And do you recall that joke being given at that Yardbird dinner?
I don't.
Could it have been given at that Yardbird dinner?
It could have, but I don't recall it, and I actually think I might remember that,
I'm sure you do.
given what happened.
I think one thing that has been established is you believe that Wendi Adelson tried to frame you for Professor Markel's murder, right?
I'm suspicious that there was an effort made in that way, yes.
And so that has affected your viewpoint, correct?
Sure.
Well, let's talk about your viewpoint. And we have to go a little bit back and repeat a couple things to put it in context. So you meet with Charlie Adelson. He tells you that he's he's friends with people in the criminal element. You say thanks for a great meeting, correct? Send him a nice text.
The next day I sent him a text, yes.
You don't go to the police.
No, I don't go to the police.
Okay. You then hear that Charlie's made a joke many times about this TV being cheaper than hiring a hitman.
Heard the joke twice.
Okay. You don't go to the police.
No.
Then in June, at a time when Wendi Adelson is breaking up with you, she sits you down and she says, I have to confide the biggest secret in my life. That a year ago, my brother actually looked into hiring a hitman. That's your testimony here today, right?
You said in June, sir?
In June? I'm sorry, in July.
Okay.
In July.
Can you restate that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Sorry.
I'll try to keep it lower this time. In July of 2014,
Yes.
about a week before the murder, when you're breaking up with Wendi Adelson, or things are seriously not good, she sits you down and she says, Jeffrey, I've got to confide in you. My brother actually looked into hiring a hitman. That's your testimony here today.
No, she didn't sit me down. She said it in passing, and she had a habit of blurting out things that weren't in her own self-interest. But she did do that. She did make that statement, yes, sir.
And it was chilling to you.
It was.
Unlike the joke, you thought it was real.
It was real, yes.
Did you go to the police?
I did not.
And then you break up.
Kind of. She strung me along for another week, as you know. Mostly, yeah, but kind of.
Well, the murder happens and you get called in as a suspect of the murder.
Right.
And you're upset at that point.
Yes, I was upset.
And you have a first interview with the police, and then you have a second interview with the police.
Yes.
And during the second interview with the police, you talked solely about Wendi Adelson.
Yeah, I think that's right. I felt like I needed to say they needed to look at Wendi Adelson as well. That was the point of that talk. Yes, sir.
That was the point of that talk.
Yes.
And you even you don't mention actually Charlie Adelson at all in that second interview.
I already had done so, so yes, you're correct.
So that second interview, you talk just about Wendi Adelson. And in fact, you're so uncomfortable in the interview. You tell the police that. You say, I'm so uncomfortable, and Detective Isom asked you why. Do you recall that?
It wasn't a Detective Isom.
Okay, I'm sorry. The detective who was interviewing you asked you why.
I don't... You have to remind me on that.
Well, let me remind you what you
Yeah.
said. You said, because it's hard for me, because if she would take me back right now, I would go back to her.
Yeah, I was still under her spell to some degree. I would say I was fairly pathetic at that point. I would acknowledge that. Yeah.
So let me understand this, because I want to make sure I've got it right. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure.
Wendi Adelson has told you that her brother looked into hiring a hitman sometime in 2013. He gets murdered.
He does.
You go to an interview, and during that interview, you're still thinking about staying with Wendi Adelson. You don't want to talk badly about her because you still want to be with her.
You're talking about this July 23rd interview specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, it only been a week. It was still pretty fresh. I was still pretty mixed up. That's right.
Okay, well, let's see how mixed up you were after that. So then you're clearly broken up at that point. We can agree, right?
Actually, I would say yes functionally, but I've testified before that Miss Adelson and I had conversations in August where she behaved as if we were still together, and we had a conversation that finally ended it, initiated by me. Now, practically, we were broken up.
You never dated. You never went on a date with her again, right?
Never saw her again other than our courtroom, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then she tells you, according to you, that my client, Charlie Adelson, says that she had a celebration dinner with Charlie, and that the celebration dinner was about the murder of Professor Markel.
I don't recall saying that last part.
But that's how you took it, right?
I worried that was the case. I told the police, and my understanding is Wendi conceded she threw up on her dinner table.
Do you know that the first time you told the police that was in March of 2015?
I do know that.
So what happened in September of 14? What happened in October of 14? What happened in November of 14? What happened in December of 14? January of 15? February of 15? You still didn't think that was important to tell the police?
I'm happy to answer that. I think you deserve an explanation on that. I You may have noticed in my March 6, 2015 interview, I come in with notes, big pile of notes. Those notes are written in July of August. They're written pretty quick after the murder. I didn't come in right away, partially because I was scared of your client. I was scared of the repercussions if I went on the record further about my suspicion. So I was reluctant to come back in because I was frankly scared.
Oh, I get it. You were scared of him in August of 14, but you weren't scared of him in March of 2015.
Now I decided to man up. I decided it was a homicide and needed to man up. That's the decision I came
Right.
to.
You weren't scared to tell him that my client had actually looked into a hitman a year earlier. That didn't scare you. You could tell him that in July.
No, I was.
Hold on, sir. Let me ask the question.
Fair enough.
In July of 2014, you told police that Charlie Adelson, you heard, actually looked at hiring a hitman. You weren't scared to tell him that.
I asked for police protection. I was scared.
You told them that in July of 2014. Isn't that correct?
Yes, in the same conversation, I said, can I get some assurances? Can I get some protection? I have something I want to tell you. I'm scared to tell you.
But you were too scared to tell him about a celebration dinner comment, and you waited almost half a year to tell him?
Well, I did wait half a year to tell them, but the notes I brought in were written right after that interview. I also wanted to get my thoughts together because I thought this day might come. And in those first two interviews, there was a lot going on. It was pretty traumatic, so I wanted to collect my thoughts. So that's what I was doing, in addition to being pretty frightened and having to get over that idea.
Isn't it true that those comments never happened, and you're upset because you believe that this family tried to frame you for murder?
Everything I'm saying is true.
I'm sure it is. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Move to strike the "I'm sure it is" comment.
I'll withdraw it.
It's withdrawn. Please disregard, members of the jury.
I have no further comments for this. Or questions.
Redirect examination.
This may seem like a fine point, but I want to make sure it's crystal clear. When Mr. Rashbaum was asking you about the hot tub conversation, Mr. Rashbaum said that his client said that he was friends with people in the criminal element. Is that exactly what was said?
The word I recall is he had connections and friends on both sides of the tracks.
Okay. Connections to
Criminal
the criminal
elements. And
element.
particularly, there was the Cuban neighborhood comment that I repeated to the TPD later.
Gotcha.
Actually, on July 21st, first interview, I mentioned that comment.
Okay. How many pages of notes do you have in reference to this case?
Like right now or over the last 9 years?
I mean, kind of over the last 9 years.
Yeah. I'm a researcher by training. I'm an analytic person by nature. So those 6 months was pretty obsessive. I was reviewing every text message, every email, writing. I condensed it down. I think if you watch the videotape, you would see me bring in 3, 4, 5 pages. But I would say I wrote probably 100 pages before I came in to see them the third time.
Going through every receipt,
Yes.
every detail,
Yes.
partially out of what? What motivation?
Well, pretty traumatic, so fear was part of it. Like, if they can catch the people that did this, I'll be safe. That was a big piece of it. Also, this was a brutal murder, and I wanted to see justice done, and I did not want to leave something sitting on the shelf. If I was in the possession of something that could help, I wanted to help.
And isn't it true that you didn't know what was going to end up being important out of all the nuggets you dug out of the phone and everywhere
I
else?
had no idea, and I also told them repeatedly, I hope and pray this wasn't Wendi and Charlie Adelson. But just in case, here's the stuff I have.
And Mr. Rashbaum asked you about why didn't you go to the police when you learned that Mr. Adelson had in fact looked into hiring a hitman. This, just to reiterate, the statement was made the Monday before the murder, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the statement where Wendy's relating it to you.
Yes.
All right, so that's going to be in 2014.
Yes.
Okay, and she's making a statement about something that occurred in what year?
2013.
All right, why didn't you go to the police with this information?
Because it was a past tense thing she was reporting, I did not sense there was a present danger. I didn't know hitmen had already visited Tallahassee. I didn't realize there was an active murder plot.
In hindsight, should you have gone to the police with this information?
Yes.
One moment, please. Nothing else, Your Honor.
So, Cross, you must step down. Mr. Rockwell, did you have something that you needed to raise?
Maybe go sidebar briefly.
Approach.
In the days before July 18th, Wendi contacted her ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Lacasse and asked about his travel plans. She wanted to know where he would be. Prosecutors suggested the Adelsons may have tried to frame him, but circumstances didn't align. Most curious of all, Wendi contacted Dan to confirm his schedule for the week. The schedule had already been agreed upon. There was no reason to double-check, but she called anyway. On the morning of July 18th, Wendi spoke with her brother Charlie for 18 minutes. They discussed the television repair, the repair that had been arranged by their mother Donna. Then, Wendi did something strange. She drove 7 miles out of her way to a liquor store. The route took her directly past Dan's neighborhood. She encountered police tape. She saw the commotion, but she didn't stop. She didn't call Dan. She didn't call the daycare to check on her children. Instead, she went to the liquor store, bought Boo Light bourbon, and continued to her lunch appointment with friends. When police finally located her and brought her in for questioning, she appeared shocked. She cried. She asked what happened. But to many watching that interrogation footage, something felt off. For 2 years after Dan's passing, the Adelson family believed they had gotten away with it. But in 2016, police arrested the 2 hitmen, Sigfrido Garcia and Luis Rivera. Rivera, facing a life sentence, quickly agreed to cooperate. He told investigators about the plan. He said they were hired to handle a situation involving someone described as the Wendi lady, who wanted her kids back. The investigation shifted to Catherine Magbanua, Charlie's ex-girlfriend. She was the connection between the hitmen and the Adelson family. She had received large payments from the Adelson family's dental practice. Checks signed by Donna Adelson. Then came the bump. In 2016, the FBI orchestrated a sting operation. An undercover agent approached Donna Adelson, claiming to have information about the contract and demanding money to stay quiet. Donna's first call after that encounter was to Charlie. That call was recorded. On that recording, Donna told Charlie they needed to meet in person. She said the situation probably involved both of them. She spoke in code, but the meaning was clear. Prosecutors later called this a confession. Over the next several years, law enforcement recorded dozens of conversations between Donna and Charlie. They discussed the case. They discussed their concerns. And Wendi's name appeared repeatedly. In one recorded jail call after Charlie's conviction in November 2023, Donna expressed anger at her daughter. She sent text messages to Wendi that would later be read in court. Those messages revealed the family's true feelings. And during Donna's trial, even her own defense attorney seemed to point the finger elsewhere. Watch what happened when the defense tried to shift blame.
I wouldn't say without his influence in any way, but yes, they've grown up without their father.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
They don't have him at all.
They don't have him in their lives day to day, no.
Because on July the 18th of 2014, he was brutally murdered in his driveway. Isn't that true?
That is true.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Redirect examination.
When you said you were an actor in someone else's show, whose show was it?
I think I felt like I just wasn't fully present in my own life, that I had always been a real people pleaser. And so there was an aspect of not always being true to myself and wanting to make other people happy.
And one of those people is your mom, right?
Yes.
And that's part of why you kept going with relocation, even when you kind of had some doubts about it, right?
I would say it's part of the reason.
In those texts, Donna wrote, "Your brother protected you for years. Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you." In another message read aloud during a jail call, Donna said, "Everyone looks to protect you. I bet you've got a lot to think about." These weren't the words of an innocent grandmother. These were the words of someone who knew exactly what had happened and who had benefited most. When Donna Adelson went to trial in August 2025, the state called Wendi as a witness. She was granted limited immunity. She had no choice but to testify. This is how it began.
Name and spell your name.
Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
Miss Adelson, where are you from?
I'm from Coral Springs, Florida.
And you live in another state now, currently, right?
I do, yes, ma'am.
All right. How are you employed?
I'm an immigration attorney
How long have you been an attorney?
since 2006.
And you're here pursuant to a state subpoena, is that correct?
Yes,
And that subpoena confers a type of immunity on you. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Which means that nothing you say here in court pursuant to that subpoena can be used against you at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could never be prosecuted. It just means that what you say in court could not be used in any future prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you about your ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Is that a fair and accurate photo of Mr. Markel?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
We met originally online. It must have been the fall of my first year of law school, so 2003.
Okay. And when did you marry Mr. Markel?
We married in February of 2006.
Were you living in Tallahassee at some point as a married couple?
Yes.
When did you move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee my final year of law school, so that would have been in the summer of 2005. And we were here from 2005 till 2006. We spent a year at the University of Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then came back to Tallahassee from 2007 until 2014.
All right. And during the time that you were living here in Tallahassee, did you live over on Trescott Drive?
For some of the time that we lived here, yes.
And when your first child was born, were you residing at the Trescott Drive residence at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have a photo of that here. Is that the Trescott Drive residence?
Yes.
And how many children did you have with Mr. Markel?
We have 2 children.
What were their ages at the time of their father's death?
It was 10 days before my older son's 5th birthday, so he was 4 turning 5, and our younger son was 3.5. The boys are 14 months apart.
And did there come a time when you and Mr. Markel separated?
Yes.
When was the separation?
It was in the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was mine.
How did your ex take that news?
Well, we talked about it many times before it actually happened, but when the separation became official, he was very upset.
And even though there were problems and issues and discussions, it was a surprise to him when it actually happened, right?
It was.
Okay. And was part of the reason for the separation your differing views on how to raise the kids pursuant to the Jewish faith?
I'd say it was a very small part, but it was a part.
Did you consider your ex to be a religious zealot?
No, I didn't think he was a religious zealot, but I did think he was using religion as a way of controlling me.
Wendi Adelson took the stand in her mother's trial with immunity, protecting her from prosecution based on her testimony. She appeared composed. She answered questions carefully, and she repeated one phrase over and over: "I was not involved in any plot to end Dan's life." But her testimony revealed more than she may have intended. Prosecutors didn't treat Wendi like a friendly witness. They questioned her like a suspect, and the courtroom could feel the tension.
It's like my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else. Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
And that's because he hurt you, right?
And I was saying that in the context of talking to law enforcement for hours and hours and trying to help them figure out who might be responsible.
Right. And who did you tell them might be responsible?
Well, I told them many, many people. But are you asking about this particular moment right here?
You told them your family might be responsible.
Or potentially someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible.
Okay. And of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one.
Yep.
Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. I mean, that's what happened, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
When did you learn that Catherine McBanoa was blackmailing your brother for the murder of your ex-husband?
Today.
So he never told you?
No.
You testified in Catherine McBanoa's murder trial last year, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And she was convicted.
She was convicted, yes.
A crime for which she apparently is innocent because she was just a conduit for Sigfredo Garcia. Did you learn that today along with all of us?
Well, I learned that someone made that argument. I don't know whether it's true or not true.
Did your dad get any big gifts for his 70th?
I don't remember.
So there was no big lead up and discussion about some big gift that you were involved in, at least?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I gave him a present. I hope I did.
Do you remember what anybody gave him for that birthday?
I really don't.
Was the murder of Dan Markel your dad's big gift?
I mean, that's, of course not. That's a horrible thing to say.
What about the grandchildren, getting full unfettered access to the grandchildren?
My
Could that have
parents
been
had
the
full
big gift?
unfettered access to their grandchildren always.
You want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
Somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I say.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. Oh, that's not
No
right.
further questions.
Prosecutors pressed her on the hitman joke. They asked about her communications with Charlie on the day of Dan's passing. They showed emails between Wendi and her mother discussing Dan in derogatory terms. Wendi admitted she called Dan an STD, a dark lord, and an emotional terrorist just 3 weeks before his passing. When asked about a nickname she used, prosecutors suggested it was a slur. Wendi claimed it was just a silly nickname. The prosecution also questioned her about her drive past Dan's neighborhood on July 18th. Why did she go 7 miles out of her way? Why didn't she call Dan when she saw police tape? Why didn't she check on her children? Wendi said she knew Dan's schedule. She knew he was taking the boys to preschool. She didn't think to call. When directly confronted about her involvement, Wendy's denials were absolute. But were they believable? Watch her response.
Were you in any way involved in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
No.
Did you maybe know it was going to happen but not know the details?
I did not know it was going to happen, and I did not know any details.
Did you provide any information, even unknowingly in hindsight, that you think could have been used to assist the murderers?
I don't think so. I didn't provide any information.
What information do you have regarding your mother's involvement in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
I don't have information.
But you do admit that your brother said he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel.
I don't. I admit that my brother made a tasteless joke repeatedly about buying me a TV because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
But then someone did hire a hitman who did kill Dan Markel, right?
Yes, that happened.
Was part of the plot to kill your ex for you to have plausible deniability or to know very little about it?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Were you shielded from the plot because, I don't know, you couldn't be trusted to keep a secret?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Why did you tell investigator Isom in your law enforcement interview that you were worried the police, or you were worried, I guess, in the police car on the way to be interviewed, that you might be considered a suspect?
Because I couldn't think of anything bad going on in his life other than the divorce. And frequently the ex-wife is a suspect.
Were you treated as a suspect?
I was not.
But you mentioned 9 times in your law enforcement interview being a suspect, didn't you?
I did, yes.
When prosecutors asked what information she had about her mother's involvement, Wendi said, "I don't have any information." But the evidence told a different story. Charlie Adelson's conviction in November 2023 sent shockwaves through the family, and it set off a chain reaction that led to Donna's arrest just days later. But it also reignited questions about Wendi.
Good morning. If you can just take your seat for right now, I will swear you in when the jurors re-enter the room. I believe, even though the jurors indicated they did not have to go to the bathroom at this point, if we are once again dealing with the needs of 14 people, they might be in the bathroom, so wait for the knock. Okay. It's fun. I believe that we have a few jurors that do need to use the restroom. If anyone needs to stretch their legs or use the bathroom themselves, please take your opportunity now. Once we start with the testimony, again, the door will remain closed if you exit. Go ahead. Oh, before you leave the room, Ms. Fulford, once again, Mrs. Adelson, I'm going to reiterate the instruction that I gave to you last Friday concerning any reactions that you may have to either the testimony or the evidence in the case. I understand this may be a distressing thing for your child to be offering testimony in your trial. However, you are to control your expressions and your emotions. Do you understand those? Everyone can take their break. If you need to step down until it's time to testify, you may do so as well.
When Charlie was convicted, the prosecution's theory became clear. Charlie had orchestrated the contract. He used Kaffer Magbanua as a go-between. He paid for the hit. and he did it all for his sister. But Charlie didn't act alone. Evidence showed constant communication with his mother, Donna. They spoke in code. They shared concerns, and they both knew what had happened. After Charlie's conviction, Donna was arrested at Miami International Airport attempting to board a one-way flight to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. She had researched countries without extradition. She had rushed to get visas. She was running. At Donna's trial in August 2025, prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence. Secret recordings, financial records, testimony from the hitmen, from Catherine Magbanua, and from Donna's own children. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours. Donna was convicted of first-degree offenses, conspiracy, and solicitation. She was sentenced to life in prison in October 2025. 5 people were now behind bars, but Wendi Adelson remained free. After the verdict, lead prosecutor Georgia Kappelman was asked if Wendi should be worried. Her response? You can stay tuned. This case has captivated the nation not just because of the contract itself, but because of what it reveals about power, privilege, and family loyalty. The Adelsons were a wealthy, prominent family in South Florida. They had resources, they had connections, and they believed they could solve any problem. When the court ruled against Wendi's relocation request, they didn't accept it. They escalated. And according to prosecutors, they crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Wendi Adelson is described as intelligent, highly educated, a law professor herself, someone who understood the legal system, and perhaps someone who understood how to navigate it without getting caught.
Now I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Well, let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
I did.
If you could explain to the jury what that means.
It means I studied a lot and got good grades.
All right. It means, and to speak, I'm from the Northeast. My Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right?
That's very
You had a
nice.
high
Thank you.
GPA, a very high GPA.
I work hard.
You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge.
I did.
You were a Gates Scholar.
I was.
You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top-tier law school, Tier 1, right?
Okay.
Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School, right?
I did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right?
I did.
Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
It's challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right?
Yes.
You're also a published author. Right.
Now you're just embarrassing me.
This case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now, you're a lawyer yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my 2 children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
You also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I don't believe that I did.
You did not.
I don't remember doing that, no.
No further questions.
I don't remember exactly the timeline of that.
Okay, thank you. Lawyers, yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
5 convictions, life sentences, a family destroyed. But the central figure, the person whose life improved dramatically after July 18, 2014, has never been charged. When he moved to South Florida immediately after Dan's passing, she got full custody of the children. She changed their last names from Markel to Adelson. She cut off contact between Dan's parents and their grandsons. The life she wanted, the life the court had denied her, became reality the moment Dan took his last breath. Dan Markel's parents, Ruth and Phil, have lived with unimaginable loss. They lost their son, and they effectively lost their grandsons. In a statement to the court during Charlie's sentencing, Phil Markel spoke about the ongoing pain. Visits with the boys are rare and highly controlled. The children don't even carry their father's name anymore. The Markel family has made their position clear. They will not rest until everyone who participated in Dan's passing is brought to justice. The question that haunts this case is simple but profound. How many people were truly involved? 5 are convicted. 2 remain unindicted co-conspirators, Wendi and her father Harvey. Prosecutors have all the trials, all the testimony, all the evidence. They've heard Wendi testify multiple times under immunity. They've seen the patterns. They know the timeline. Legal experts following this case believe the investigation isn't over. Many predict that within the next year, we may see movement. Perhaps another arrest. Perhaps another trial. The state has convicted a hitman who pulled the trigger. They convicted his accomplice. They convicted the go-between. They convicted the brother who arranged it all. They convicted the mother who financed and orchestrated it. But the person who stood to gain the most, the person whose problem was solved, she remains free. This case forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about justice, about privilege, about how far someone will go to get what they want. 5 people are spending the rest of their lives behind bars for what happened to Dan Markel, a respected law professor, a loving father, a man who simply wanted to remain in his children's lives. His last moments were spent in his driveway, in the home he loved, in the city where he had built his career. He never saw it coming, but someone knew it was coming. Someone knew the plan. Someone benefited when it succeeded. The story of Wendi Adelson isn't over. The investigation continues. The evidence accumulates. And somewhere in South Florida, a woman goes about her life while prosecutors decide her fate. The question isn't whether justice will come. The question is when. This is Dark Trail Files. If this story made you question everything you thought you knew about justice, hit that subscribe button, because the truth is rarely what it seems, and we're just getting started.